This video is brought to you by John Robson Guitar Tuition. If you enjoy the content, please consider supporting the channel by enrolling on a course, purchasing some guitar lessons or a t-shirt, or you can join my Patreon. Now, on with the show. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. Today's video is just another one of these where I blether on about stuff that I like. You might recall last week I did my top 5 Gary Moore performances, and this week it's the turn of the one and only, the legendary, the late lamented Stevie Ray Vaughan. So let's get started straight away with my first pick, which is
Riviera Paradise.
Yes indeed. Now I don't really rank these kind of lists in order of preference because it can change from a day to an hour to hour basis, you know, what order I would put them in. But I'm going to make an exception with this track. I would struggle really to put anything above this in the pantheon of great Stevie performances. I just absolutely adore this track and everything about it. It was the final track on the album In Step, which was Stevie's final album that he released during his lifetime. And with the benefit of hindsight, it does have something of an epitaph quality about it, because it really does sum him up as a player, I think. You know, you've got every element of his style of playing expressed somewhere in this epic 9-minute track. It's Stevie playing his jazzier side really here, and you get the feeling with this track that it's, that it was sort of formulated in much the same way as an album like Miles Davis's Kind of Blue, where, there was just basically an outline sketch of what they were going to do into maybe a chord sequence or something, and then they just improvised off that, as I say, for about 9 minutes solid. Some stunning musicianship on this track, not just from Stevie, but from the rest of the band as well. It's tender and atmospheric in times, and at other times it's fierce and raw. And, as I say, it epitomises Stevie for me, and that's why it's on this list. Next.
Voodoo Child, Slight Return.
Yes, indeed. This track is a bit special to me because it's the tune that got me into Hendrix. It took Stevie's version of Voodoo Child to make me go back and, check out Hendrix again, because I'd always just dismissed Hendrix growing up because, it was, whenever he was on TV, it was always, squealing feedback, guitars getting smashed, guitars getting set on fire, and, I just didn't see the point. I just couldn't get it. But as soon as I heard Stevie playing Jimmy, that's when I thought, okay, yeah, go and investigate Jimmy a little bit further. And, that's what sort of opened the door for me. I mean, what a version of the song. It's just utterly epic. Again, I'm going to probably be using that word a lot throughout this video. The guitar tone that he gets, it's just such a ballsy strat tone that's like a punch in the guts. It's incredibly good, an absolutely electrifying performance. And to be honest with you, much as many people would talk about Stevie's version of Not Sky is Crying, Little Wing from the album Sky is Crying, much as many people will talk about Stevie's version of Little Wing as being, the best example of Stevie doing Hendrix, I would say this one wins by a country mile. I absolutely adore this version of this track, and not just because of what it is, but it also opened the door to me appreciating Jimi Hendrix. So there you go. Next.
Rude Mood.
Right, yes indeed, this one is, it leaves you breathless, or certainly leaves me breathless when I'm listening to it. It's a bit like Burt Whedon's Guitar Boogie Shuffle played at 200 miles an hour on steroids. It's a ridiculously fast boogie shuffle, but the speed never seems to be, kind of forced or anything. It's fluent and effortless. I can picture Stevie playing this with a huge grin on his face, and there are just so many great licks in this track. It's just again epic. There's that word again. Performance from beginning to end, and I just could not include this on this list. Eric Clapton once in an interview said of Stevie that the music just used to flow out of him, like it was just kind of coursing through his veins, and you will not find a better example of that than in this track here. He's just playing absolutely virtuoso blues guitar, and, it just making it look and sound effortless and easy, and, just the fluency and everything is just something to behold. So that's why this is on the list. Next.
Gone Home.
Indeed, Stevie getting his jazz trousers on again, but this time it's a little bit less Miles Davis, possibly, and a bit more Kenny Burrell. It's basically a kind of laid-back shuffle with a walking bass line, and what I like about this is that, Stevie and, forgive me, I can't remember the name of the keyboard player, but they're trading licks all the time, and there's that real sense, again, I often reference this, of the eye contact that's going on in the room between the musicians, and you can feel them kind of, feeding the vibe off each other, and it really kind of is there on this track. It's just absolutely fantastic. It's impossible not to tap your foot to this. It's just, one of those kind of things that is just so cool and so groovy, and again, epic performance from all parties on this. To me, it's just the epitome of like a cool jazz blues crossover thing that, again, something that Kenny Burrell used to do fantastically well, and or does fantastically well, and it's in evidence on here. You can hear, Stevie did actually cover a Kenny Burrell tune, Chitlin's Con Carne, at one point, and you can tell the Kenny Burrell influence in this track. So there you go. That's why it's on the list, because it's right up my alley. I do love a bit of jazz blues crossover. So anyway, what's the final one?
The Sky is Crying.
Okie dokie, yes, The Sky is Crying. For me, this is from the posthumous album, The Sky is Crying, title track. And I remember when this album came out, it wasn't long after he died, I seem to recall, certainly within a year or so. And it was just, okay, it just brought home what a loss it was when Stevie sadly left us. For me, this is the definitive version of this song. There are so many versions of The Sky is Crying by, countless artists, but for me, this is the one that really nails it. Apologies to anybody who prefers any other version of this song, and also apologies to anybody who's saying, well, why haven't you chosen Texas Flood? It's essentially a song in the same sort of vein, really, kind of a slow, sleazy blues. But I think Sky is Crying just pips Texas Flood at the post, I'm afraid to say. I prefer this to Texas Flood. I don't dislike Texas Flood, obviously not. How could you? But this one, for me, just has the edge. What can I tell you? It sets the hairs on the back of my neck, if there are any still there, up on end. And not only is it the definitive version of this song, I would go even further and say that it is probably the definitive version of what a slow blues should sound like. His tone on this track is just, immense. I suppose one thing that again kind of nudges it over the line for me, beyond Texas Flood, is that, we've got that Hammond organ on here, which I just love, that sort of gritty blues guitar with a Hammond organ going on as well. And that just, again, I think it's just such an electrifying sound for me, and once again, an epic performance. So there you go, folks. Those are my top 5 Stevie Ray Vaughan performances. What are yours? Leave a comment down below, and if you can be bothered, maybe a line or two about why each one is on your list, and I would be genuinely interested to know what that might turn out like. So there you go, folks. That's today's video. Hope you found it reasonably entertaining. That is, after all, the point of doing these, and if that's the case, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so, and why not give me a like while you're at it. Don't forget the live stream, 5 p.m. UK time on Friday, where you know what happens, we drink beer and we chat about guitars. What's not to like about that? Great way to kick off the weekend. I'd love to see you there if you can make it. But for now, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now.